was born on the 19th of July 1930. It is now the 24th of September 1995, so I'm now 65 and 2 years old. I am the fourth child of James, Francis and Minnie Rayner, and I was born at 13 Paisley Street, Little Orton, Bradford. My earliest recollections of life was when I was about 3 years old, and my younger brother Dennis, who was 18 months younger than I, had measles, and we were put into our, I wouldn't call it a lounge really, but best room of our back-to-back house, with the curtains drawn. I can remember that on this particular day we had a very, very heavy fall of snow, so we had, Dennis and I were in the habit of pulling the curtains back to look at this snow. At the age of 5 years old, I went to St Joseph's Boys' School, which is in Clayton Lane at the end of the road. This was a nice school, and the headmaster was a man called Lynch, and we had another master called Pat Clean, who were both well-known people in the area. The school had a flat roof on the top, which was the playing area, which was unusual. At the time that I was going to school, nearby lived Auntie Emily, which was my father's sister, and her husband Herbert Ainsworth, and living at number 6 Sturton Street, which was farther up Little Orton Lane, lived grandmother Rayner and Auntie Kathleen and Uncle Jim. We had to go visit grandmother once or twice a week to see that she was all right, and I had the job of going and bringing her top mill snuff from a shop in Manchester Road, which cost threepence, and for that she used to give me a penny, and perhaps on Mondays we used to get a stone jar filled with pork or beef dripping, because that was more or less our staple diet in the 30s, because we were poor. It was either pork dripping, beef dripping, or jam and bread. Mother worked in between having children in a mill as a weaver, and I don't know how she really coped with life, looking after all the children, cooking, baking and cleaning. The house itself we had in the early 30s anyway was, we had just had a gas light in the kitchen, probably one in the sitting room, and we had 2 bedrooms upstairs. I can remember electric light being put into the houses, but this was only put in downstairs. So when we had to go to bed, we went upstairs with a candle. Winifred was born about 1936, and her cot was the bottom drawer of a big chest of drawers, and this was where she spent most of her early childhood. In the kitchen we had a big open type range which had a large oven at the side, and the other side had a boiler set bottom of the bottom, and into this was ladled cold water, and then the fire heated the water up. And on Fridays this was ladled out into a tin bath, and we each had a bath in our turn in front of the fire, and we all had to do this fairly quickly before the debt collectors came and the insurance man. Life in general on Paisley Street was, for me, was quite good. We had no play-in areas, but we used to play on the street. There was not much traffic, only the horse and carts. The milkman used to come with an open sort of cart and ladle milk into a jug for people who wanted milk. And we used to play tin can squat, piggy and stick, hide and seek, and tours or marbles as it's called today. And as I say, we didn't have television, but we seemed to live a full and active life without the modern facilities. Saturday afternoons was a big highlight of the week because we used to go to the pitches, and that was either the Towers Hall pitches or the Carlton, and that was the Tubney Rush, and they had these serials with Buster Crab, or what we call it, name. And then usually on Saturday afternoons, Mother baked, and you can invariably came home, perhaps on the doorstep was standing a large flat cake, or some tea cakes to cool, and there was nothing to taste much like it than some newly baked bread or tuna tea cakes with some lard. I don't think they could afford butter, or Echo margarine. About the middle, or perhaps late 30s, Bradford Corporation had a home called S Bank Home at Morecambe, and people who were poor, or children of poorly families, poor families, let's say, could have a week's holiday there. And I don't know how my name came into being, but I was sent. Didn't want to go. I was sent to S Bank Home for a week's holiday. It really wasn't much of a holiday, really, because we probably got some fresh air. But I can remember that we had tripping breakfast. Well, I can't remember what we had for lunch, but we had jam and bread for tea. And the regime was very strict. We used to take us for long walks on the sands. And I couldn't say really that I enjoyed it. I miss my home. Continued at St Joseph's until 1941. By that time we'd moved from Bailey Street to Nean Street in Canterbury Estate because we were sort of overcrowded. And there I obtained my 11 plus and went to St Beach Hammersborough along with two of my friends, Tony McCabe, who also lived on Canterbury, and Jim Brett, who lived on Central Avenue. We were sort of the poor relation at St Bede's, all three of us, because we all came from poor families, and there they seemed to be the elite of sons of lawyers and doctors and what have you. And on one occasion, all three of us played truant. And unlike today, if you played truant, you didn't go into the town because you stuck out like a sore thumb. But somebody did see us and reported us to our families. And this particular night when I got off and played truant, after about 3 days, Dad was waiting for me with his big belt and gave me such a good ID and sent me up upstairs to bed, but I didn't come down. I think probably after 11 work the following day. Which brings me back to St Bede's. It's said that my father was one of the first pupils at St Bede's, and he got there and he had a scholarship. Anyway, I seem to have quite a witness of illness as well in between this time, and I think I had anemia, which put me into St Luke's Hospital for about a couple of weeks. I think this was because of the wartime, the food and the diet. And I wasn't very happy at St Bede's, so we were very poor, we hadn't much money. My father was so in 1944 I decided on my own back that I'd had enough of schooling and I was going to go start work. So I left along, and Tony McCabe also left, and Jan James went. But we all left school at 14. And I think probably early August 1944, I started working in the warehouse on Wells Street, which was sort of a dead-end job. It was good, getting money, or a little bit of money. So this involved rolling pieces of cloth that had been examined or purged on a machine to find the faults, and it had to be re-rolled. And it's quite heavy work really, and I carried these pieces on my shoulder, which must have weighed from anything from half hundredweight to three-quarters hundredweight. And eventually, this caused me, I think it was left foot, to have a spasmodic flat foot, which used to swell up during the day, go down at night, and swell up again the following day. So eventually, I went into St Luke's Hospital and had an operation. Took me out to the theatre. I didn't know what we were going to do. When I came back, instead of having my foot was encased in plaster, and my foot was so twisted. And when they gave me some crutches, and I came out, and mother came for me and said, "Shall we get a taxi?" I said, "No, I'll walk home, I'll get home." This was from St Luke's into Canterbury. And I think it took me about an hour and a half to get from St Luke's to Dean Street with the crutches, and they had class when I got home. But I most remember somebody said to me, "Has he just come back from the war?" So, and then our sort of pastime really was playing football. Tony McCabe, another guy. The Browns on Tamer Street. And the can't remember the name. We also played football and cricket in the summer, with a golf ball or wickets. And in 1947 we had quite a big snowfall. In fact, the biggest snowfall that's ever happened this century. And we used to play quite a lot of football and sweat a lot. And I think this caused me to have a pleural, what they call a pleural effusion. So that put me back into lungs, and the drained some fluid off. And the specialist at the time was a man called Smith, and said to him, "I think this pleurisy may turn to TB," which was prevalent at that time. And I should go away to Gassington Open Air Sanatorium. So there again, I didn't want to go there, so I had to go. So I went, and most of the patients there were ex-servicemen who come back from the war, from Japan particularly, with TB. And a really good set of blokes. Most of them were able to get up during the day, but there were some better people. And because it was just after the war, there was quite a shortage of staff. And because I was quite fit and able to get up during the day all the time, I used to help the nurses, taking meals out, making beds and what have you. And eventually, they had a medical superintendent there, a man called Donaldson, who came and asked me if I wanted to go on the staff as a medical orderly. And I said, "You might as well continue to try and get paid for it." I said, "Well, fair enough." And this work I quite enjoyed. And eventually, when things sorted themselves out, we got more staff, and then we got a matron who wanted to make me into a male nurse. But from the wages from a male nurse to a student nurse were quite considerable. It was quite a considerable drop, so I said no. And eventually it was there that my first wife met him. Something I'll regret as long as I live. past that I don't know whether because I thought I was quite good at things or not, but after a while I'd been sort of waddling on the wards. I was approached by the woman who was the pharmacist, pathologist and radiologist, because it was only, I don't know, 100 bed hospital or something like that, but she did all these things and she wasn't an assistant, so that's when I did that sort of work. And eventually Betty was discharged from Grassington and came home to Bradford, so I decided that I'd follow most of my regret. So I came back home and got a job at Group Parker and Company, who were manufacturing, also manufacturing pharmaceutical chemists. And,
What year was that?
1951. And I think the wage at that time was £5, 2 and 6 pence. And that same year, I think it started in January. The February and the July, I went to a man called Brooke Parker, who was a director who ran the business, and said to him, "Do I now go on to a man's wages?" He says, "You've been on man's wages ever since you started." So,
Right. Going.
hang on again now.
Yep.
He said to him, "Do I now go on to a man's wages?" He says, "You've been on man's wages ever since you started." So,
Right.
which was off Wakefield Road. And it said, after this, I'm not quite sure, I think Sheila, Sister Sheila, says that my mother's mother died when my mother was born, and the only relation that my mother had, as far as we know, was a half-sister called Mary Lizzie, who married a man called Adel Bentley.
Well, they call him Bentley, I don't know what his
Bentley.
first name was.
Who was in charge of the dray horses for the Lancashire and North Eastern Railway in Brough Street. Bath. My grandmother, Rayner, originated from Dunmore, County Galway, and it said that she had twins who died. In the 30s, Uncle Herbert and Auntie Emily had a son, one son. They had only one son called John, Gainsborough. And because I was of similar age to him, they used to take me along with John on holiday. So I can remember going with Uncle Herbert, Auntie Emily and John to Cleethorpes and also to New Brighton. Uncle Herbert was quite strict at that time, you know. You had to watch your piece of goose. Auntie Kathleen was quite a bit, what should I say? I can't think of the word. Exacting. I think in about 1941, something like that, a very quiet man called Johnny Dillinger, who worked as a wagon driver for British Road Service, or whatever it's called those days. Uncle Jim went in the forces and eventually became an MP, and when he came out of the forces, after he got married, he went to work as a prison officer, I think mainly in Armley and Leeds. Sheila was my mentor because when we were at school, she came up from school and I came up from school, which was on the street and set. And Sheila gave me the job every day of cleaning out the fire grate and setting the fire when we came home to light the fire. And cleaning the hearth tin and what have you. If sometimes we got knocked out, we had to crawl down the cellar grate and open the door from the inside. was quite a feat.
Oh yeah.
Other recollections of Paisley Street in the 30s was the knocker-up man. This was a man who walked up and down the street, knocking people up and rattled the bedroom window in the early morning with like a metal thing at the end of the window. And to get you up for work, and then you got you just paid £3 a week from each household. Also, we used to get the street singers. There's always something going on in those streets. Street singers, Capavani, people selling hot chestnuts, I should say. Just not far away from us was Gate Street Police Station, which was only about 200 yards away. And of similar distance was Park Road Home for Children, which was an orphanage. And this orphanage was surrounded by iron railings, and we were threatened many a time if we didn't behave ourselves, we were put in Park Road Home.
Well, I was threatened with that as well.
Oh yeah.
My generation, so it never changed.
It's probably finished, probably packed in now.
The neighbours that we used to have, our people we knew quite well, were the Boydles, the Chadwicks and the Wardles, and all real nice people and easy to get on with. Shopping in Manchester Road was quite something. There was a butcher's shop called Kerner's. And also, should also mention Blackwood's, pawnbrokers, who had a back door which was into the back of Manchester Road. And on Monday morning there were quite a queue of people to put pawn stuff in, get money.
Did your mum and dad
I
ever
don't think so.
do?
I don't think so.
Can't remember.
I don't think they did, yes.
I don't think we've done anything to Paul.
No. Father was in the heart of work, and I remember on one occasion he got a job at Morecambe, and I think one day while we were there, we went on a train ride to Morecambe to see him. And I remember it rained all day, and we met Father, and went back to his digs and was introduced to his landlady. I don't think my mother ever saw any money from him. I think he probably drunk it all. But it was nice to see him. And on the other occasions that I can remember being out with my father's, when one day I had to go to the dental clinic in Manor Row to have a tooth out. And my mother was working, so Father took me and waited for me, and we came out and we walked down Ivegut, and we got to the Unicorn pub, and Father said, just a minute, just wait there. He went inside and I found a beer, and I went out. And on another occasion when he took me somewhere was a remembrance service in November at the Senator for the bottom of his Lord Lane. And this was quite an experience, because this was the first time in my life I'd ever seen grown men crying. And it's only later on that I realised how severe the 1914-18 war was. During the war, Father got a job with the Auxiliary Fire Service, which was stationed in Nelson Street and also in a street called Vaughan Street off Sunbridge Road. And on one occasion I had to go on Friday afternoon to Vaughan Street to get Father's wages with my mother. Otherwise he might have got his wages and spent half of it on his way home. I think he set his wage when he got this job was £3, 10 shillings a week, which was something he never had in all the time I'd known him. In the 30s, although we were poor, Whitsuntide or Spring Bank holidays is now called, we always used to get new clothes, new suits, Dennis and I. And if you went to the right shop, you could either get a nice pocket watch soaked. And we were always well tugged out at Whitsuntide, and we had to go round all our uncles and aunts and show them off their clothes. And everybody just put some money in his pocket, which was good.
That's a habit that's died, isn't it?
It has died. That has died. And at Christmas, we always seemed to do quite well. We didn't get very expensive presents, but we did get quite a few presents. Always in a pillowcase, always had an apple and orange, and a brand new 10 pence piece or florin or half a crown. So,
Who was at home at this time then? What was left at home? Were Jim still about?
Jim,
Man, he must have got married because it is golden wedding. He must have got married in 1945.
Jim, didn't see a lot of Jim. I can't remember seeing quite a lot of Jim. The only thing I can remember about Jim is that before he went in the services. Oh, by the way, I got out of going and not doing my national service because I had this pleural effusion. And they said they would send for me, but after they cleared up, they would send back again for me, thank goodness. So Jim went in the RAF. And he and Gladys, they were courting before they went in the RAF, and he and Gladys had bought this tandem, which was a tow. So I think probably about 1943 or 44, Tony McCabe and I decided that we would bought this tandem and cycle to Morecambe. I think it was either Easter or Whitsuntide, I'm not sure. Probably Whitsuntide. So we set off. Got past settled up a hill called Buckshaw Brow, you know Buckshaw Brow. And we had capes that came over the top of your head in those days, so and it'd been raining, so it stopped, so we decided to take the capes off. So we took the capes off, and in doing so, I pulled my glasses off, and they fell on the floor, and brought my glasses down. In those days, didn't have spare pairs. So I think that's one lens in, one lens out. So we continued towards Morecambe, and got to Lancaster, and the three-speed on this bike broke. By this time it was raining again, so we had to walk from Lancaster to Morecambe to this campsite, which we eventually found in the dark by the next time. Chucking it down the rain, bouncing down the rain, and we put the tent up. The tents weren't very good in those days. If you touched them, the water came through. So we got soaked, and decided that the next night we would stop in a shelter on the promenade. But it continued raining all that day. We stopped in the promenade for the night, and it started raining the following day. So later on in the day we decided we could walk. So we had enough money for the train fare, so we put the bike on the train and got on the train and came home. After a very, very wet week. I don't know what happened to the bike. I don't know who repaired it, what happened. I don't remember Jim played ball or anything like that.
So Jim knew you had it?
How old were you then?
13 or 14. But mother was with it then. It's been raining so much. What else? In about this time, obviously Mary come back home, and Sheila and Mary were working together in a mill at Great Orton. And I used to meet them because I used to get off the bus at top of Arctic Parade, and they were just about coming home at the same time. So I used to meet them and walk down home with them. And one day they'd been sacked for singing or something. So they didn't tell no one, they just went straight away to Big Ella Mills and got a job there. But I can remember Jack Allen coming from forces to don't know why she met him, I don't know. But, going back with his full uniform, and it was very quiet sort of bloke even in those days. Jack Allen, Jack Amis, and Gladys. that's when they all three got married, quite near together actually. That me left me and Dennis and Winifred, Kathleen and myself. So,
Mm.
and then I went away to Gassington in 1947, came back in 1951. Got married in 1955. Broke my mother's heart because I didn't get married at St George's. That's something I regret. That's something I regret.
What, not got married in church?
Going against my mother's wishes. My mother was my best friend, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I want a better mother anyway. She used to be really ill, you know, she'd be gasping for breath, but she used to get up every morning, get me after work, put me some salmon, freezing, you know.
Mm.
She was wheezing away. So, I mean, they never had the life. It got better on me. I don't know whether my mother had ever been fouled in Scarborough or...
No, but well, not to my knowledge, I don't think she did. I think Blackpool and Scarborough on the other coast were the farthest, wasn't it?
I mean, I think my father did go to the forces. He said that he went, you know, joined up early on, when I was 16 or 17. Was in about a year and got gassed and he came out. I reckon that was the cause of all his problems, his stomach ulcers. But I think really and truly it was his way of life, his smoking and his drinking. And he led my mother a hell of a dance. But I think probably the struggle going down, that a lot of people to drink.
Mm.
It was a struggle.